Namaskar. It's a rare phenomenon that one is suddenly reminded, and that too collectively, of scientists such as William Gilbert, Stephen Gray, Ben Franklin, Alessandro Volta, Sir Humphrey Davy, Michael Faraday, George Ohm, Thomas Davenport, James Maxwell, Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, and of course many more. Well, the trigger for this lightning thought, if I may say so, is equally powerful. It is the sheer presence of Director General, National Power Training Institute, Dr. Tripta Thakur, in the studios of Akashvani. Dr. Tripta Thakur, a formal welcome to you. It's a privilege and a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you so much. I'm feeling honored to come here in Akashvani. Thank you so much for inviting.
Every listener knows that just like the sun, electricity is a subject that affects every human being. But the catch is, nobody thinks more about it except paying bills and complaining about it. Very few people try to understand what exactly electricity is, how it is generated, what are the different ways, higher levels of power management, different levels. Your visit to Akashvani shall be used in a beneficial way for our common listeners. Just to understand a few points about the power sector, and of course to know you more as a person, as a student of this particular subject. I'd like to begin with a very simple but cliched question. Looking at, climate change and the environment, what is the current energy mix, the energy basket division, if I were to call it so, of the country? What different kinds of electricity and how much and...
Yeah, so very apt question because we all are concerned about the environment. In fact, the entire humanity is facing two major challenges right now. One is energy security and the second one is environmental concern. And if you ask me the solution for both the major problem, the solution is only one and only one: more and more use of renewable energy. And in fact, I am very happy to share with you that India is having the third largest installed capacity in the world after US and China, and also third largest in renewable energy capacity. Not only conventional installed capacity, but in renewable also. India has done a lot of commitment for adding more renewable. So by 2030, we would like to add 500 gigawatt renewable capacity in our grid. It means our present installed capacity is around 430 gigawatt, and if we want to add 500 gigawatt by 2030, it means that our total installed capacity is going to be 800 gigawatt. This is the major ambitious goal put up by any country in the world.
Okay.
And we are really approaching. We are going in a very, very fast manner, and I'm very sure that we will be able to achieve this target by 2030.
Dr. Thakur, just out of curiosity, let me ask you this question. Just about 10-15 years ago, one used to hear a lot about, wind power everywhere. Wind turbines and generators. And Now, suddenly, maybe 10 years down the line, the focus entirely shifted to, it seems to us, to solar. What is the demarcation between the two?
Yeah, both are very important. Wind is equally important, and many of the new energy parks are coming in a hybrid mode where we are using wind along with solar and battery storage. So recently I have visited Jaisalmer plant, which is a hybrid plant, and this plant has wind. Wind actually depends on the availability. So wind should be available. So in the coastal belt of Tamil Nadu, coastal belt of Gujarat, coastal belt, and as well as this Registan region, we are coming up with the combined hybrid plant, solar along with wind. So they are complementary, of course, because in India 300 days we are having a sunlight. So we would like to use that sunlight. But of course, hybrid and wind is a good solution.
Our conversation would be incomplete without the good old coal and hydro. Is there, what coal generation used to be, say, 25 years ago, is it still on the same, level of pollutants and effluents? Or we have come a long way from there? Where are we now in terms of?
Oh, actually, the coal thermal capacity contribution in the total installed capacity is still 60%. But because of the environmental concern, from the past 5 years, we have not added even a single unit in coal. But then we realized because our demand is growing, the India is growing. If with the rate of 8% GDP growth rate, we really need electricity badly. So we cannot rely without coal. So now the government, because of the Ukraine-Russia war, the entire world, especially Europe, has faced the energy crisis. So we are also affected by that. Gas is available, but it's very costly. Oil is available, very costly, unaffordable. So we are again going back to the coal, and some new plants has been advertised. But definitely by taking care of the environment, we are using technology which will reduce the emission. And also we are trying, because in the coal, the main cost is coal transportation. So we are planning to build the coal plant, coal pit itself. So this is the new way. So we can reduce the cost for transportation of the coal.
What I meant was, once upon a time we used to hear about fly ash bricks.
Yes.
So has it progressed any further?
Yes, very much actually. The government is going for the fly ash. We are using fly ash for the construction of road. We are using fly ash for making the bricks. And also 5% of coal is replaced by pellet. So there is one mission we are taking in which we are using the biodegradable pellets and this parali, which is creating a lot of air pollution also in the Delhi region. So we are using this parali to making the pellets, and 5% of coal is replaced by these pellets. So that is also.
And is it equally in terms of
little bit less than the coal, but it is giving a lot of relief in terms of environment pollution.
In terms of hydropower, anything that new that has happened over?
Yes, hydro, actually we have not trapped the entire capability which India is having. So we are going massively, not for big hydro projects, but small hydro projects. And also the pump hydro projects, PSP, which we commonly call them, pump hydro storage, because storage is a big issue in electricity. The electricity is very unique in the sense you cannot store electricity. You can store electricity less in terms of battery, but and this is still very costly, and the lithium is not available in our country. And we are trying for taking sodium battery into the picture, which is amply available in India, but still storage is a big issue. But pump hydro storage can act like a battery storage. So the government is planning a lot of pump hydro storage.
Is it a small scale?
Small scale, of course.
Power station,
It's a small scale. We are not going as big as we have Bhakra Nangal Dam and Sardar Sarovar Dam, but there are many possibilities for hydro projects in Arunachal Pradesh.
No, but if the water is continuously flowing, then where is the scope to save?
No, so depending on the demography, we can of course use this water as a storage. And when there is no water available through the river, then we can pump that water back to the system, and we can use again generate electricity through water. So in this way, we are not actually wasting the water, but we are using water as a battery. So that possibility is very important, and we are working on that.
We looked at electricity from a very general point of view. Coming to very specific point, one would like to know more about the National Power Training Institute. I mean, what kind of trainings happen there? What kind of R&D happens there? Especially in terms of a very important subject, skill development, which is required all over the country now. Please throw some light on that.
So I'm very happy to share with you that the National Power Training Institute is the apex body of Ministry of Power, set up by the Act of Parliament in 1993. But before that, it was under CEA, Central Electricity Authority. So it's more than 50 years old organization. And we have a pan-India presence because we have 11 centers across India. So we, as a apex body for training and capacity building, we are giving training to all CPSUs, all state electricity board. So this is our mandate. So we are doing that. And also we are running a lot of induction training program. So when an engineer join any organization, he is very raw. So we give them entire 1 year training where he can understand the entire value chain of the electricity sector and can learn about the organization so that he can be ready to serve the organization in a perfect manner. So that we call as an induction training program which we are doing NPTI. And beside that, as you mentioned, the skill is so important. When India really want to become developed nation by 2047, we really need to see that how we will develop our skill. And this is also very important because in electricity sector, we are going through energy transition. And in this energy transition, digitalization, the decentralization, electrification are a very, very important role they are going to play. So we all know that technology is changing. We are having AI penetration, we are having blockchains, we are having data analytics. So all these things needs capacity building and training, especially when we are talking about the real-time control in terms of SCADA. If we buy any SCADA equipment and the person who is supplying it, he can support you for 1 or 2 years. Then your people need to be trained so that they can take care of entire SCADA setup in future. So training and capacity building is going to play a major role if India want to become developed by 2047. And NPTI can play a very, very important role in that. I have also served as a professor in NIT Bhopal. So I know that there is a gap between industry and academia. And academia is saying that their people are not getting job. Industry people are saying that we are not getting perfect engineers, acquired skill. So NPTI is working to bridge this gap. We are giving 1 year postgraduate diploma program in thermal engineering, in renewable engineering, in transmission and distribution. So we give them a practical training so that they will become industry ready. And I'm very happy to share with you that all our program which we are running through all 11 sectors across India are having 100% placement.
Oh.
In advance, people get the placement. After 6 months, all our people got placed because all industry people understand the credibility which NPTI is putting, making them industry ready. And why we have been able to do that? Because we have the strength of simulators. So we have the best of the best simulator in the world. So we are giving them all practical oriented training. We are taking them to the plant itself or place them 2 months so that they can understand everything. So we are making industry ready engineers by providing them training. NPTI is also running because there is a need, because the power is coming as a market mechanism principle. So we are running one MBA program also, which is very famous. All our alumni are partners in EY, Deloitte, very well placed. So we are running 2 years MBA, and this MBA is for power management. Again, in this MBA, we are having 3 specialization, which is very much needed: cybersecurity, data science and data analytics, and sustainability. So we are bridging that gap.
Dr. Thakur, from what I gathered from our little conversation was there are courses meant for engineering graduates and above. But are there certain, short-term courses or maybe specialized courses meant for even, lower ranks where ITIs and polytechnics also stand to gain?
Very true. And we have one post-diploma course where we are focusing for PDC, which is a 6-month course. Again, 100% placement. We are catering the demands which are coming up from polytechnics. And also in our MBA program from this year onwards, because we understand our industry, the power sector, which is growing at the 5 times in the coming 10 years. So we really need the people from account, need people from the law background, we need people from the other background. So we have opened this time our MBA program not only for engineers but for other streams also.
Okay. That's a good sign. And in fact, in a lighter vein, let me put it across to you that even if I, as a common man, get a chance to attend a small workshop or something, I shall gain a lot.
Yeah, you are most welcome because we are running. Especially, we have understood the fee that all the distribution company, I really want to add here, we are doing very good in generation and transmission. At par with any developed nation, even better than, because our transmission sector is the better than many developed nation. But where we are lacking in the value chain, that is distribution sector. It is not financially viable. It is the most important value chain because money flows back to the system through distribution only. And unfortunately, distribution sector is not financially viable.
Is distribution also connected with, quality of transmission lines and...
No, transmission is different.
Okay.
Distribution is they are connecting with the consumers. So through consumer money flows back to the system. So if that distribution is weak, it is ultimately going to impact transmission and generation business.
Okay.
So if you really want to become like at par with any developed nation, as I mentioned, our generation sector is at par with any developed nation. Our transmission is better than developed nation, but our distribution is not good because we are having many losses and
thefts maybe.
Yes, we are calling them as AT&C losses, aggregate technical and commercial losses. So that is very high. But now the accountability has increased. We really want to improve our distribution sector. So earlier when the AT&C losses was 40%, right now in this year, the average AT&C losses is only 15%.
Okay.
So that is a remarkable achievement.
So have certain steps been taken to, reduce losses?
Definitely. Technology is very important and that step we are taking to actually reduce the losses, which is coming in terms of theft. So smart meters are going to be placed everywhere where consumer is also having a right to see what is their pattern, how they are consuming electricity, whether they have been charged correctly or not. So till now we are not giving any importance to consumer, but now consumer is equally connected when they are having smart meters.
Okay. That was quite an illuminating discussion that we had. But our discussion will be absolutely incomplete if I do not glance at Dr. Tripta Thakur as a person and as a student. You've done your PhD from IIT Delhi and University of Dundee, United Kingdom, and your MTech from IIT Kanpur. If I may say it as a pun, you are at the moment a woman in power.
Thank you.
There was a time, let me talk of stereotypes, say 20-25 years ago, when one would expect a woman to go into something more like electronics rather than electrical engineering.
Yes.
So how did your journey take you to a field which once upon a time used to be considered, for men only?
Yes.
How did this happen?
Actually, I chose electricity sector because my friend in BTech time, his father was SE in electricity company. And I used to go to their house. I used to see that how uncle is involved and giving electricity, which is so important for everybody's. Because our per capita consumption is the index for the development of a nation. So he was always talking and he was always saying it's how important it is to provide electricity to everyone. So I was very influenced and I took the electricity branch. And I was aspiring to become an electrical engineer in the State Electricity Board. But when I passed out in 1991, I realized there was no jobs in electricity sector. So that time, 1991, there was no internet, only we rely on newspaper. So there was no information and we were having no clue that why post is not advertised this year, why there is a very less placement. But when I started my PhD, then I realized that why 1991 there was no jobs, because that time we were in a very bad situation and that time the government has started privatization of the electricity sector. We have opened our electricity sector and then it has started improving. But by that time, job is so essential, so I got a teaching opportunity. So I adopted teaching and then further education. But yes, it is very true. Still in the power sector, if you see the women ratio, recently I was involved in the exclusive training for women. So recently with the help of World Bank, we have trained 101 women. For entire 1 year duration. And this 101 women are not only from India 32 women, but from the South Asian nations. So we have Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives and other SAARC country representative, Bangladesh also. So we trained them for the entire 1 year duration. 10 module. It was such a fantastic experience for training the women, and I know the potential. When my 32 Indian women interacted with my minister and the ministry, then they were saying that they can foresee the future leaders in electricity sector. Presently, only 8% women are there in this sector.
Okay.
Very less representation. But I'm very sure that with the little encouragement, with the gender gap analysis, with inclusiveness, and with the training and capacity building in future, we will be having more number of presentation in power sector also.
Dr. Tripta Thakur, I want you to conclude with, because it's indeed a rare moment to have somebody from, the power sector speak to our listeners. Using this rare opportunity, I want you to give them some sort of an advice in terms of electricity that will see them in good stead in terms of either power saving or anything that you think they can learn.
Yes, power is essential for the development of any nation, and we know that we have a target to have 800 gigawatt by 2030. But as a consumer, what we can do will be aware how to use energy efficient devices. So, as a single person contribution, we can contribute by using electricity when it is required, not to waste electricity, but using the consumption in a very, very effective manner, and also using energy efficient devices. So, go for 5-star rating devices in future. So, that will be your contribution. Go for the energy efficient lighting, LEDs, replace your house. You will see the reduction in the your electricity bill in future. So, as a responsible citizen, you can take part by contributing as an individual by using energy efficient devices.
Dr. Tripta Thakur, Director General, National Power Training Institute, Ministry of Power. I'm sure whoever has listened to this program has gained a lot. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
sparing time to come to our studios and speak to our listeners.
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.